Standing in a courtroom of strangers, I was disowned. That's when I revealed a secret that utterly broke the person who did it. My name is Serafina, and if you've ever walked into a room where it feels like every single pair of eyes is silently asking, "Why are you even here?" That was me the day I entered the courthouse. The air was heavy, the kind that clings to your lungs. Whispers drifted around, not quite formed words, but weighty enough to sting. The scent of polished wood mingled with cheap perfume. Photographers were crouched in the back, their camera lenses blinking red like vultures waiting for something to die. More than 300 people were crammed into that chamber. Every cough, every shuffle of shoes, every pen scratching on paper, all echoed like a final verdict. And there, right at the front, sat my father, Calvin, and the family he built after me. They were impeccably dressed, a dynasty framed in expensive suits, with posture so rigid it could cut glass. Beside him, Willow in her ash-gray dress, and their son Julian squirming in his seat. They looked like royalty awaiting their coronation. And me? I was in the back row alone. I never belonged in their picture. Never did. When the judge called the room to order, I thought I was ready. But Calvin didn't wait for his turn. He stood, his voice sharp enough to pierce the silence. I object. This young man is not my biological son. As of today, he no longer carries the Cole name. It was like glass shattering in slow motion. Gasps, murmurs, a pen hitting the floor somewhere behind me. Julian let out a small but piercing cry, the only honest sound in the entire room. Willow's face drained of color, and her hand shook against the armrest. But me? I didn't even blink. I smiled. Not a smug or cruel smile, but the kind my mother used to say lit up the whole kitchen. In my briefcase was a sealed white envelope. If today was about bloodlines, then we were going to spill them all. I rose slowly. Each step resonated in my chest louder than it did on the polished floor. My hand brushed against the envelope, its sharp edges almost humming with electricity. Just before I spoke, my mind betrayed me, pulling me back to the only warmth I had ever known. My mother, Claire, I saw her so clearly it hurt, sitting on the edge of my bed, lamplight soft on her hair, reading The Great Gatsby aloud, her voice steady, her finger tracing words as if she had lived inside them. She once told me, "Never let anyone convince you you're unworthy of love." She said it after Calvin walked past my science fair ribbon without so much as a glance. She was the true heart of our house, a place that otherwise felt like a museum. Marble floors, frozen portraits, and a silence so sharp it could cut. She was warmth against stone. I was 12 when she sat me beneath the fig tree in the garden. Her voice trembled, but her eyes were steady. She told me Calvin wasn't my father, but that it didn't matter. "You are mine," she said. "That will never change." And I believed her, until cancer took her. I was 26 when I held her hand, felt her warmth fade. Her last words to me were simple. "You are my light." Calvin wasn't there. He was sending papers through his assistant. That was his farewell. 6 months later, Willow arrived. Not like a wife, but an invasion. The house that had once smelled of molasses cookies now reeked of sandalwood candles. Photos of me and my mother disappeared, replaced by portraits of Calvin and Willow, flawless but empty. One night, she wore my mother's emerald ring. When I asked her where she found it, she smiled and said, "It was just sitting in a box of old things." I thought it was a waste to leave it there. An old box. It suits me, don't you think? No, it never did. Then Daniel came. Nathaniel wept when Julia told him she was pregnant. Real tears, the kind he never shed for me. Never for Claire. I watched him put his hand on her stomach and whisper, "This is our second chance to get it right." And I knew exactly what I was. A draft, a mistake, a shadow placeholder until the real sun arrived. But the thing about truth, it doesn't stay buried. I noticed the late-night calls, the hotel receipts hidden in corporate files, Julia's laugh a little too loud with Victor, Nathaniel's oldest friend, and then the proof I couldn't ignore, a DNA test. Daniel wasn't Nathaniel's son. He was Victor's. So when Nathaniel tried to erase me, I stepped forward. "Calm, certain, Your Honor," I said. "If today is about truth, then all of it deserves daylight." I placed the envelope on this stand. My fingers trembled once, then stilled. I opened it and I read, "Daniel Cole is not Nathaniel's son. He is Victor's." Confirmed. 99.9% match. The room exploded. Julia screamed, her voice so sharp it cracked. Victor bolted for the door, footsteps pounding with guilt. Julia tried to follow, dragging Daniel by the arm, but she stumbled on the carpet and went down hard. Gasps rose like waves around her. Nathaniel sank back into his chair, his face gray, his hand shaking for the first time in my life. And me, I didn't gloat. I didn't laugh. I just breathed. For the first time in years, the weight was gone. I looked him straight in the eye. "You're right, Nathaniel. I'm not your blood. Claire told me that years ago, but she also told me, love is a choice. She chose me. You've only ever chosen power." Silence, thick, heavy, and in that silence I felt her, my mother. Not in the marble halls. Not in the name, not in the dynasty, but here, in the truth. I walked back to my seat. The envelope was empty now, but my hands were lighter than they had ever been. That night, I played an old recording of Claire reading Gatsby. Her voice filled the room, soft, steady. You never really know how strong you are until the truth is the only thing you have left. And sitting there in the glow of my apartment, I finally understood I wasn't erased. I wasn't forgotten. I was my mother's son, and no dynasty, no courtroom, no lie could ever take that.